Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review post-match reaction video after Rangers' 2-1 win over Sparta Prague at Ibrox in Europa League this evening, taking a giant stride towards qualification to the knockout phase. Joshua was there for his first half goals from Danilo and Todd Cantwell, had Rangers in cruise control before Lucas Harrislin set up a nervy ending, but Rangers managed to see the game out, and that is a huge win. It felt like a huge win, Joshua. The Ibrox crowd played their part as they normally do, and Rangers get a well-earned 3 points. Big night for Philippe Clement and Rangers.
Yeah, definitely, Derek. I mean, I think it was the first half. Rangers earned that victory, I think, over the course of the 90 minutes. I think it was the first half in which they were dominant enough to not feel like that going into injury time, where you need to kind of hold the ball in the corner, and there's a collective sigh of relief when Jack Butland kind of takes a late corner in his grasp. But they were good in the first half, and they sat off the game a little bit more, perhaps understandably, after the break. Sparta started to get a little bit more joy, but as I say, I think before the break, and that probably should be the focus, the way that Rangers earned that 2-goal lead, the quality of Danilo, the quality of Cantwell, who continued tonight to look a little bit more like his old self. Thought Ben Davies had a really good game defensively in the second half. Thought McCausland was really bright from the bench as well, created 3 good openings. So Rangers it's a game, it felt similar to the Servette game to me, Derek, where it ends 2-1, and because it's been the first kind of 20-30 minutes, the 2 goals have went in, it maybe dampens the enthusiasm somewhat. And yes, Rangers probably should have been a bit better after the break and controlled the game, and they conceded a pretty well-worked goal. And if you look at just after the second goal, Sparta actually had a mini huddle in the middle of the pitch. They had to kind of recalibrate. Such was the kind of dominance that Rangers enjoyed in that first half, without really being at top gear, or without. I certainly didn't feel in the stadium as if this is an unbelievable performance. I just felt Rangers are better here. The crowd's playing their part, as you say, and they'll run out comfortable winners. A little bit more nervy in the end. They get the 3 points, a big 3 points in the contest of the group, as you say.
Yeah, so much to talk about from the game. Ross McDonald says Danilo will be big for us. And Matthew Ross says Danilo looks like Roof with functioning legs. Another good performance from him tonight. Joshua took his goal really well, I thought, really calm. Could have had a second goal. He had a goal immediately after Sparta scored that was ruled out. It was a correct call from the referee in the end. VR, he just clipped the boy. It was accidental, but you don't get away with that these days, unfortunately. But I thought he led the line really well again, and a lot of excitement around this boy.
Yeah, I think aside from Cantwell, probably, Derek, he is the Rangers player I've been most excited about watching, certainly since we started this job, maybe, because I say that having only seen him for a few weeks, but I think he really could be the striker that Rangers have wanted for a long time. Obviously, Morelos, he's the top goal scorer in European competition. It was a fantastic player on his day, but it was on his day. It wasn't consistently over the course of a season. And Danilo looks like someone who I think he's going to be able to get a lot of goals domestically. Another one for him tonight. But his hard work off the ball, the way he links the play, just seems to have a real whole package as a number 9. And I thought tonight, you forget this is still only his 3rd or 4th or 5th start as Rangers' actual start at number 9, not starting off the sides as he did a couple of times under Michael Beale. So along with Abdal Sima, who I thought was excellent in that first half, they were the kind of 2 standouts. Cantwell as well. We can maybe come on to speak about him, but I thought he looked a little bit more like the quality player we know he can be compared to recent weeks. But yeah, totally agree with the comment. Danilo looks like a really exciting player, and I think you're starting to see his all-round game, as you did with that start in Dundee last week there. Not just what he does in the box, but the energy he gives you off the ball, which that's how he earned his opening goal in the opening goal of the game.
Yeah, Cantwell took his goal well as well. I thought he was really good tonight. Alan Kelly saying Cantwell ran himself into the ground. He puts a shift in every time. He absolutely does. That was back to the Todd Cantwell we all know and love. And interestingly, he said he was caught just as he was coming off the pitch, him and Danilo just taking the acclaim of the fans. Yeah. He spoke to Emma Dodds and Derek McInnes, saying that they feel fitter now, Joshua, which is quite telling. But they certainly look fitter, you've got to say.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of covered this quite extensively. I've not actually listened. I they're right in front of me. You can see Philippe Clement speaking to the TNT sports panel just now, but I've not heard what they had to say. But it was, do you know what it was, Derek? It was a performance whereby I think, especially in the first half, whenever Sparta went back, whenever there was an opportunity to press, Rangers were there and they were on them. And if you compare that as well to what they did on the ball, which I thought at times was quite direct but really effective, constantly creating kind of 4v4s or 4v5s, and the second goal kind of epitomised that, where you attract the press, you go to Sima, he attracts two men, and then you've got the man over with Lammers making that kind of dummy run, whether it was intentional or not, for Cantwell on the right-hand side. But it looked like an energetic performance. I think it looks like a team who have real probably clarity with what they're doing. And sometimes, I guess, when a new manager comes in, when things have been as they were before the situation that Clement inherited, the simplicity of not maybe having all these new ideas put in your head, but one or two at a time, drip feeding, as Clement has spoken about, and also, I guess, playing in a system that feels comfortable to them, but also playing in a style, Derek, that suits the occasion. I was sat in this exact seat of that Old Firm game towards the start of the season, where one of the most baffling things was Rangers' approach off the ball. Yes, arguably it should have earned them a goal in the day that was chopped off by VAR, but it was a stadium that was just crying out to play its part, and a stadium like that can only play its part. That's not a day to be patient. Tonight isn't really a night to be patient either. Rangers got the 2-goal lead. This is a difficult place to play in European nights, and they showed it again. Yes, the second half, I think there's still obviously a lot of areas for improvement. But to your point, do they look fitter? I think the approach tonight is what the approach tonight is what you should have on a European night, on a big game at Ibrox, because it matches what the crowd want to do, which is go after it, get up, create a big atmosphere, and I thought the players gave them reason to do that tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of comments coming in. Andrew Aitken with a funny one here. He says, I wish we'd make it easier for ourselves. I had a clot in my heart in February, and them doing squeaky bum time isn't doing my heart any good. So pay attention, Rangers. We want a much more comfortable night when Aris come to town in a few weeks. Kevin Robb, where did they get the 9 minutes from? It was because the fans took the ball, basically. And the referee wasn't having any of it. He said that we added time on when it was originally 6 minutes added on. I think we came close to 9 minutes eventually. And unfortunately, Connor Goldson getting a booking right at the end there, Joshua, which rules him out of said Aris game. So fingers crossed John Suter is back from injury, because Rangers are running out of defenders.
Yeah, it was kind of the most yellow card you will ever see in your life, wasn't it? From my vantage point, I thought Ben Davies had a good second half on the topic of centre backs. He was isolated quite a lot out there. He misplaced one pass, and there was one that was slightly short. But I guess his quality is supposed to be that he reads the game well, and I don't know about you, but I thought he did that pretty successfully in the second half when Aris were getting down that side quite a lot. The difficult system to play against at points, obviously, because they've got wing backs, so they constantly have that man over. But in response, Rangers were able to create the space down the side of the centre backs that they did, which helped lead to either goal. So, yeah, obviously Goldson being out is a blow, but I think it was a pretty deserved yellow card from where I was sitting.
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, it was offside anyway, but is what it is. Rangers will deal with that when Nicholas says, evening guys, Rangers are a different animal under Clement. Players look like they're playing with passion again. I love it. Absolutely. They certainly sense that. A lot of negative comments coming in though, Joshua, about Sam Lammers' display. James Cameron with the point, the obsession with Lammers at number 10 has to end. How did you think he did tonight? It was a very Sam Lammers-y sort of performance for me.
Yeah, I don't think he had a great game, Derek. He's obviously in that difficult position where people are frustrated at him anyway. So you know, whenever it's different. If a player has a little bit of goodwill and maybe they get away with a couple of poor passes, I think he's in there because there's obviously a reason that Clement's picking him, and there's obviously a reason that Clement is keeping him on. Now, part of that might be, I think, to do with fitness and continuing to build up Cantwell's minutes. But I think part of it as well is that he does quite a functional role off the ball sometimes in that number 10 spot. People might disagree with that, but I'm trying to, Clement's kept him on and played him consistently. So he will be seeing something there that he likes. Yeah. Set pieces as well. Again, keep going back to that when Lammers is included. But I guess there's always an element of functionality in football, starting 11s, and maybe he comes into that. I don't think he had a good game. It was a good dummy run for Cantwell. He still looks like a player who isn't playing with confidence. We spoke after that Dundee game, and you hoped that maybe that would kind of kick him on and that would give him belief. But hasn't proven to be the case so far. Cantwell from the right, I thought that was a demonstration of why he can do it. I thought it was a demonstration of in a game where it's open and there's space, he can pop up in different areas and be effective. Equally, would still like to see him in that number 10 or left-sided slot, and I hope moving forward that he isn't there. So I'm perhaps not as down on Lammers as everyone else, because again, I think Clement is picking him for a reason. I can just see Clement there going to speak to a group of young fans who have waited, which is nice to see. He's obviously picking him for a reason beyond him just being available. But I do agree with the sentiment that when he's on the ball, he's not using it well enough. He's giving the ball away too readily. And I compare that, I thought McCausland when he came on,
brilliant.
We've arguably not spoken about him enough, but he gives you that different option, being a left footer, opening up the pitch with different angles. And I thought he probably created 3 really good chances on the left-hand side. His
pass for Danilo was incredible, right through in between 2 Sparta players, which was absolutely fantastic. He had a couple of efforts both on goal. I just thought it looked lively. And on that right-hand side, I think, as Cliff says, he should be in with a shout of starting perhaps on Sunday against Livingston. But another impressive showing from young Ross. Just before we wrap up, because Josh has to head down to the mix zone, guys, a lot of praise for Jack Butland again, Joshua. Bob says, Butland great between the sticks again. When called upon, he more often than not delivers. What a goalkeeper, what a signing he has been.
Yeah, and we've spoken a bit in the last couple of weeks about fine margins, but if you look at what Rangers had in goals, I think, and up top last season, they didn't have players who were making up those fine margins. I think McGregor's best years were behind him by last season, and obviously up front, Rangers kind of chopped and changed consistently. Now in Danilo and Butland, they have that, and you saw it in the semi-final as well. Butland makes a big stop at 1-0 and 2-0. Danilo wins a penalty and assists the second goal. Danilo scores one and creates the other tonight. They have quality in those positions, and that's helping them make up the fine margins where they maybe weren't able to before. Felt a bit like 2022 in here tonight, Derek, because you had the John Lundstrom song sang for the first time in a while. Rangers beat Sparta 2-0 at home, although it would eventually be 2-1. And importantly, I think the momentum continues, because if Sparta had an equaliser, it would have been a frustrated Ibrox, and understandably so, because of the opportunities in the first half. But there's one more game before the international break, which will give Clement time to obviously bed in some more ideas, get some players back. And what's that now? 6 games, 5 wins, and 1 draw. We said speaking after the away, we said speaking after the away game when I was in that stadium in Prague, that I felt deflated at full time, because I think they knew how difficult it would be to get a result here. They almost recovered it in the end, but in the first half, the game almost got away from them as well. So I think overall, 2-1, a fair reflection of the night, fair reflection of where Rangers are. Some good bits, plenty of work to be done, but I think after 6 games, you can say pretty confidently that it looks like they've got the right man to lead them forward at the moment, Philippe Clement.
Yeah, good to have Frank the Tank commenting in. Brilliant work by Butland from Australia. Good to have you tuning in, Frank. Just before we wrap up, Bluebells, our Blue says, I don't ever want to see Danilo and Cantwell try to dance together again. I do. I want to see more of it, although I know Philip Clement wasn't too happy with them dancing away in the first half. But if as long as they're dancing, then that means good things are happening. So I don't mind it whatsoever. And the Trying Scotsman says it's a quadruple now on. Absolutely, let's start booking tickets to Dublin for the final. That has been the final, folks, at the Aviva Stadium. But listen, a lot of optimism surrounding Rangers at this moment in time, and a lot of credit will, the majority of which has to go to Philip Clement for turning around this squad. Good times seem to be back at Rangers, and long may they continue. Right, I'll let Joshua head over to the mix zone. We'll be back tomorrow morning with Chris, as I think, is that the Rangers players singing and dancing away, Joshua? Or?
No, it's someone singing Super Alley to Ali McCoist, and he's loving it, quite rightly. He's given a few thumbs up.
Yeah, super stuff. Right, we'll let Joshua head off. As I mentioned, folks, we'll be on with Chris to have a more detailed look back at the victory tomorrow morning. We hope you can join us for that. Joshua will get the reaction from some of the players downstairs as well, so keep your eyes peeled on YouTube for that as well. Rangers winning tonight by 2-1. We'll speak to you tomorrow morning.